It's Thursday, March 25th, and I was about to go out for a run and then come back and soak my body in a bath while I read a book. And just before doing so, I happened to read a comment from one of my viewers asking about my metal detecting stuff. So I thought, it's 18 degrees today and it's going to get colder again tomorrow for a while. So I thought, you know what? Why don't I just go down to the beach and do some metal detecting right now? So thanks to that viewer for leaving the comment. Instead of going out for a run, here I am at the beach with my metal detector getting ready to do some detecting. The water level is down a lot compared to what it usually is in the summertime. So there might be some opportunity to find some things that were dropped in shallow water at the end of the season last year, now that we're into springtime and the snow has recently melted away. So I don't know, we'll see if we find anything at all. Let's just go and see what happens. Okay, this is my first hit of the season, so let's see if I found anything here. I don't know, it looks like a little piece of almost pottery-like, but it's got to be metal because it's picking up the detection here. So, I don't know, it's an interesting little colorful blue and white piece of something. I'm not sure what though. Very cool start. Got another hit in the muck down by the water's edge, so let's dig this one up.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time. Clear to see from up here. The world seems small. We can sit together It's so beautiful.
This one turns out to be a piece of junk metal. And we've got a third hit. I'm regretting that I didn't bring a bag to put all my metal trash into. I'm just having to carry it in my pockets. So anyways, let's dig this up and see what we find.
Sometimes you need to go. Take a step back to see the truth around you.
Oh, a little piece of wire or something.
You and me were meant to be in the great outdoors, forever free. You and me, meant to be in the great outdoors, forever.
All of that! Oh my goodness, all of that was just for a hairpin. It took me forever to find this thing. Just before we take a look at all the treasures I found, I want to send a thank you to my Patreon supporters, in particular to my higher tier supporters, Joanna and Paul. Thank you so much. And if you appreciate my content, please do consider supporting me on Patreon. I really could use a bit of help at the moment, so anything you have to offer would be greatly appreciated. Thank you. Okay, let's take a look at everything I found. I dug up a total of 23 items over the space of a couple of hours. Before I look at the 5 more interesting things, let's take a real quick peek at the items that I threw in the garbage before I left the beach. I forgot to bring with me a bag to put all my finds in, and so I was sticking everything in my pocket, and the longest strip of metal that I found, I think, had fallen out of my pocket at some point because I lost it again. So one of the items I found isn't shown here, but everything else is. And on the far left we have a tent peg that is holding down a little piece of aluminum foil. On the far right is the earpiece of a pair of sunglasses. We have 3 hairpins there that were immensely hard to find in the dark, wet sand as I was digging them. I feel like it took me over 5 minutes to dig up each one of those hairpins, especially that smaller one there. It was quite a challenge to find them. The beach is on one side, the closest side as you're coming in, there's basically a sharp line between the grass where the picnic tables are, then the beach starts, and then you get to the water. When I got to the top of the beach where it meets the grass, that's where I started finding all of these can tabs and bottle caps from the people at the picnic tables just tossing their garbage onto the beach. Of the 3 can tabs there, the shiny one in the middle I just found sitting on top of the grass. The other 2 I dug up out of the sand. Then there's the 2 bottle caps there, one of which is folded in half. At the top of the semicircle, there's something that really felt and looks like a rock, but for some reason it was being picked up with the metal detector, so I guess there's some kind of metal in there. And then pretty much everything else there is just junk pieces of metal that I couldn't identify. So that's the garbage stuff out of the way. Let's take a closer look at the more interesting items. Alright, now let's take a look at the fun items. The first couple of things we have are a couple of coins. So this is a Canadian dime or 10-cent piece. It goes all the way back to 1973, so this thing's even older than I am. That's pretty old. Next up we have a penny that I thought at first was an old Canadian penny because it has Queen Elizabeth's head on one side of it, but then when I flipped it over I saw that it had this strange animal that I didn't recognize, and it turns out this is an Australian penny of all things. I don't know how it ended up on my little wee city beach here in Ontario, but there you have it. It's an Australian penny, and I was curious about this strange animal, so I looked it up. Apparently it's a feather-tail glider, or as the scientists call it, Acrobates pygmaeus. And what it is supposedly a gliding possum that is unique to Australian states bordering the Pacific Ocean. So there you go, an Australian penny turned up on my Canadian beach here. Next is a very cool little old key. It's extremely rusted, looks to be very old, so I have no idea what it could be from, but there was this key that was near the grassy area of the beach. And it's always fun to turn up keys. I've found a couple of them now. Next up is this sort of metallic item. Of course it's metallic, I found it with my metal detector, duh. But it has this white with a textured blue border here, and it has lettering on it that says, it starts with a star, and then it says, Irium is Pepsodent's registered trademark for purified something sulfate. Net weight 895 grams. It appears to say, I'm not sure exactly about the numbers on there, but it looks like it's about 895 grams. I looked it up, and apparently Pepsodent was an American brand of toothpaste, and supposedly it's still sold in all markets except the US and Canada. So again, don't know how this ended up on a Canadian beach. I did some Google image searching to figure out where this little metal piece possibly could have come from, and I don't see any Pepsodent toothpaste stuff that comes in a metal tin or anything like that, so it's kind of a mystery. I'm not sure where this or what kind of container that came from. Now lastly, and most excitingly, is this gold colored earring. Now, the question is, well, before I get into the specifics of it, the funny thing is, I was finished metal detecting for the day. I had gone back to the grassy area where I had my things on a picnic table. I sat down on the picnic table to photograph some of the things I had found, and then I just happened to glance down, and there at my feet in the grass under the picnic table was this gold earring. So I didn't even find it with the metal detector. It was just sitting there on the grass. So it would have been very exciting to dig this up out of the sand with a metal detector, but unfortunately it was just sitting there in the grass to be found. Now, going back to the question of, is this actually gold? I didn't have no idea how to tell if something is gold, so I did a quick bit of Google searching. One of the tests it recommend was to drop it in a glass of water to see if it sinks, and it did sink. Now, I would imagine that pretty much anything that's metal is going to sink, so I'm not sure what that's supposed to tell you about it being gold or not. I did actually check with the metal detector, even though I did find it just by looking at the ground. I checked with the metal detector, and it is in fact metal, not plastic. So it is made of some kind of metal. Another test I was supposed to do was to take a magnet and find out if it is magnetized, because gold apparently is not magnetic. So I have this powerful little magnet that can pick up the dime no problem. Interestingly enough, it doesn't pick up the penny, but yeah, it's quite a powerful magnet that picks up the dime. It does not, however, pick up the earring. So the first thing, although having said that, there is a little bit of metal or magnetic attraction there. So it is not a strong attraction, but when I go to some parts of this earring, there is some metal attraction. Now, I noticed that it does attract the clasp, where there is some wearing shown on the clasp itself. So, I don't know. I wonder if it's maybe a gold plating over top of another type of metal. I mean, I really have no idea how to tell for sure, short of taking it into a jeweler's or something. But regardless of how it was found, it was still kind of exciting to find potentially a gold or gold-plated item. Who knows? But that concludes the fun items I found this time out. I will see you on my next metal detecting adventure. The preceding video has been brought to you free of charge by me, Josh. The only thing I ask in return is that you either choose to, or if you would send the link for this video with someone who you think would enjoy it. It's 18 degrees today, and it's going to get a lot colder in the next few days again.